Hey everyone, just a quick update from me this afternoon in regards to homelessness. I know some of you care and want to know. Remember the guys that were down at Edinburgh Reserve? Somebody asked about them the other day, what was happening with them, where they are now, and so forth. So I thought I'd give you a quick update about that to start with. Look, the 18-year-old went home to mum and dad, so was no longer on the streets. We've still got one in hospital. We had one that got a unit. We had one that got a place in a hostel type situation and lasted about 3 days, then got kicked out again. So he's back out on the streets. The others were dispersed. So out of that group, we've got one in hospital still, and he's doing really, really well. And we've got one in a unit and off the street. I think that was the 70-something-year-old man, which is great news because 70-year-old people shouldn't be on the streets. Look, the reason I'm doing this live today is because I can see what's happening lately. The homeless community is increasing by the day. We've got people camping everywhere. We've got people sleeping in cars. We've got people camping on the streets. We've got people being moved on daily, and people getting drenched and cold and wet and getting no respite from it. It's a pretty sad state of affairs out there at the moment. I just, seriously, if you saw what I see in the suffering and everything, it's just terrible. What I want to do, and I think needs to happen, is I want the government to declare a state of emergency in this state for homelessness, and I want emergency declarations put in place to change legislation immediately to be able to allow councils to not move people on. We need to be able to allow people that are sleeping in their cars to stop being moved on. They're being harassed by community members. They're being told to move on by councils constantly. Now, I don't care if councils put aside certain or allocate certain areas for people to park at, but we can't keep going on like this. There is literally no housing to offer these people. We've got lots and lots of people in hotels and motels, which is costing the government probably hundreds of millions of dollars. We've got people camping on the streets around Teacher Gully. Salisbury's much worse. It's quite bad out at Salisbury's. New people turning up every day. We need to allocate spaces where people can camp. We can't just move people on. Apparently Elizabeth's really bad at the moment. The state government need to do something, and if there's no housing available anywhere to offer these people at all, we have to change the way we do things, and we have to make other arrangements for these people. You can't just keep moving people on. These are residents. And just because they don't pay rates or they've been down on their luck and they're now homeless, which can happen to anyone, and then we say, oh, well, you need to leave because we can't give you a patch of grass and we can't allow you to park your car here and sleep in it overnight because that's not acceptable. But the government's happy to give billionaire developers $1 a year leases to build high-rise buildings and make millions and millions of dollars from that. I mean, how is that okay? It's not okay, and people are suffering. Peter Malinowskis, your people are suffering. And something needs to be done about it. People need to be warm and dry. I mean, look what happened the other night where people were turfed out in the cold and wet with nowhere to go, nowhere to sleep. It's just getting ridiculous. So those that are sleeping in cars, they need to be able to sleep in cars. You know, I've got a guy that's got a business. He's just recently become homeless, and he's sleeping in his car, and he's being harassed, picked on, told to move on constantly by residents because he wants to park and sleep in his car because he's got nowhere else to go. Something's got to happen. We need something to happen. We need reserves allocated so people can pitch tents and get warm, and we can work with people to keep them safe and dry while we're waiting for housing to come up. But I'm a bit annoyed about the housing. Where's all the housing going? If we've got no housing for anyone in the whole of Adelaide and we're keeping people in motels, is the government not buying enough housing? Perhaps the government needs to quickly run around and buy a heap of housing that's already established instead of just waiting for things to be built. Because we're in a crisis here. I want the government to declare a state of emergency and a homelessness crisis. We have to change the way we do things. The streets, people are coming out onto the streets all the time. This problem's not going away. It's going to get worse. It is going to get worse. The rate rises, the CBA rises, the cost of living rises, the insurance rises, the gas rises, the bloody electricity. No, it's getting to the stage, the mortgage stress. It's getting out of hand and something has to be done. The government's not doing anything, much at all. And it frustrates the hell out of me because I go out there and I see people suffering, and no human being should have to live that way. And I don't care if you're a drug addict, an alcoholic or whatever. You deserve a dry roof over your head and you deserve to be safe and protected. There are children. I've been told this week there are children on the streets and they're being hidden. Because, you know, no one wants DCP involved in their life. We need to act, and we need to do something now to keep people safe, warm and protected. And if it means sleeping in a car, being able to rent a caravan for $120 a week and stick it in the local reserve, then allow people to do that. And residents need to stop complaining all the time too. As soon as they see a car that might be parked there overnight, they're on the phone to council, complaining and whinging or going up and harassing people saying, you need to get out of here and move on. It's not okay for people to behave that way. We need to be compassionate. We need to show compassion in this climate because things are getting desperate. Things are getting bad. And we need to do something about it. And if the government's got no housing and there's going to be more people coming out onto the streets, what do we do? What do we do? What's the answer? Anyone, please tell me, what is the answer? What can we do when the streets are growing, people are suffering, and the government doesn't seem to care? They had the perfect opportunity just recently to buy the Cuddly Creek Caravan Park. That would have housed over 200 probably displaced people, and they could have used it as a really important hub for homelessness so that people had somewhere to go. Cabins, tents, they could have put caravans out there. There's God knows how many hectares of land, and the government had the ideal opportunity to buy that for petty cash. And they haven't done it. So, because the government's not providing housing for people, they cannot deny another alternative. That council needs to stop moving people on. That needs to cease immediately. And the government needs to put some sort of emergency declaration in place so that the legislation can temporarily change to allow people to sleep and park their cars in allocated spots. Council can allocate spots. It doesn't mean they can park, you know, they can have some control over it if they want to. But you have to let people park in their cars without moving them on. You have to let people hire a caravan or pitch a tent in a local park or something and not move them on. And if you're worried about antisocial behaviour, the way to curb the antisocial behaviour is to provide for people. It's not rocket science. Just provide for people. Provide toilets that are open. Start opening the toilets 24 hours a day so that people have got access to toilets. You know, tell people where the showers are. I know we can't erect showers in 2 seconds flat, but, you know, some of you churches that have got showers in them, open it up for people to go and have a shower. You know, if you've got a washing machine, perhaps help somebody do their washing. I mean, it seems to be a lot of the churches around the place are not doing much at all. And that's disappointing. You know, I'm sure a lot of people could be doing a lot more. But we can't keep going on like this. We cannot keep going on like this. We can't keep moving people on constantly. They have nowhere to go. So things have to change. Our society is changing because people can't afford what they used to be able to afford. We've got more people out on the streets now. We've got probably the biggest homeless community we've ever had. Now, councils and state government need to adjust what they do to cater for that demand. They really do. It's not fair. Something has to happen. So, Peter Malinauskas, all of your politicians, your local politicians, you know, for goodness sake, start doing something. Talk to your boss. Say, we need to do something here. We need to make allowances. We need to change the legislations. We need to do whatever we have to keep our people safe, our residents safe. And at 10,000 people on the streets of a night time, you're not doing that. There's 10,000 people that are having their human rights violated. And if you're not willing to provide housing, so no one's got any housing, you damn well need to provide something. Some sort of emergency accommodation, whether it be, you know, self-bought, but they need somewhere to put it. So hopefully you'll think about it, because I've lost connection on my back. I'm begging this government, please do something. And to the local politicians that say, oh, you know, ring me if you see homeless people. Seriously, I don't see you out on the streets there doing anything. You know, it's people like me that are trying to alleviate people's suffering while you sit back on your desk and do stuff all. Yeah, it's not, Greg, I agree with you, Greg. We need to stop people coming in for now and not let anyone else in until we've got our own people housed. But that's not going to fix the problem today, because there is no housing for anybody. And people are coming out onto the streets every day. So in the meantime, we have to put emergency things in place to allow people to free camp. There must be allocated free camping all around Adelaide, and allow people to camp and sleep in their cars without being moved on. The government has to do something like that. This is a state of emergency. It was a couple of years ago, but it's worse now. So we need something to happen. So please encourage your local MPs to watch this video and to do something, because I am seriously over a government that has no compassion, only seems to cater for the rich and forgets about the poor and the vulnerable, and it needs to change. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll give you another update soon.